GitHub Copilot's top tier $200 a month in usage credits. Cursor's top tier $200 a month flat. Anthropic's Claude Max top tier $200 a month. Even Devin, the AI agent built to replace an engineer outright, recently landed on the same number. 4 different companies, zero coordination, same number. Here's the twist. The price isn't actually the interesting part. What's interesting is what happens when you measure whether the $200 employee actually works. A real randomized controlled study did exactly that. Like real developers, real code, half with AI, half without. The results surprised even the people running it. Here's what they found. Why the developers themselves got it completely wrong and what the tool actually costs once you count everything that doesn't show up on the invoice. The subscription is the cheap part. Start with the actual study because this is the part that should surprise you. 2023, Microsoft and GitHub ran a real trial. 95 freelance developers recruited on Upwork. One task: build a simple web server as fast as possible. The group using Copilot finished 56% faster. That's the number that built the entire industry narrative. 2025, an independent research group called Mitter ran a harder version of the same question. Not freelancers on a toy task, 16 experienced developers working in code bases they already knew on their actual backlog. 246 real issues, half assigned to use AI, half not at random. Claimed AI makes developers faster. Ping et al. 2023 filed on real code with experienced developers. The AI allowed group was 19% slower. Statistically real. The confidence interval doesn't even cross 0. To be fair to the other side, a year later, GitHub ran its own enterprise study inside Accenture, watching real teams over time instead of one task in isolation. Pull request merge rates rose 15%. Successful builds rose 84%. 90% of developers said they felt more fulfilled at work. That's also real. It's just measuring something different, how people feel and how often their code eventually ships clean, not how long any single task actually took. Same question, different code base. Opposite answer. Here's the part that should actually worry you. Before the study started, these same developers predicted AI would make them 24% faster. After actually being slower, they estimated they'd been sped up by 20% anyway. Outside experts predicted even bigger gains. Machine learning researchers guessed 38%, economists guessed 39%. Everyone was wrong in the same direction, including the people who'd just lived through the opposite result. Why? Watching code appear on screen feels like progress. The time you actually lose, reading the suggestion, checking it, fixing what's wrong with it, happens in small pieces you don't add up in your head. The tool doesn't feel slow, it just is. This wasn't a casual survey either. These developers were paid $150 an hour, screen recorded, doing their actual work, and the researchers tested about 20 different explanations for the result: task selection, learning curves, model quality, trying to find a reason the slowdown wasn't real. They couldn't rule it out. The result held. You can't trust your own sense of being faster. That's not a guess. That's the actual finding. So, if the productivity math is murkier than the marketing, where's the real cost hiding? 3 places. First, security. Veracode tested over 100 AI models writing real code across 4 languages. 45% of the code failed basic security tests. A known OWASP top 10 vulnerability straight out of the model. Java was the worst. 72% failed. Even the best language, Python, still failed 38% of the time. And on one specific common attack, cross-site scripting, the models failed to defend against it 86% of the time. Here's the part that should worry you more. Bigger, newer models weren't any safer. Security performance stayed flat no matter how sophisticated the model got. Second, review time. A 2026 survey of 700 engineering leaders found 81% now say their developers spend more time reviewing code because so much of it is AI written. Real telemetry from 22,000 developers shows review has become the bottleneck. Pull request review queue time up more than 4 times over in teams with heavy AI use. Third, the debt itself. A real academic study tracked 300,000 AI-authored commits across 6,300 repositories. More than 15% of every AI tool's commits introduce at least one real issue. Nearly a quarter of those issues are still unresolved, sitting in the code base right now. The subscription bills you once a month. The review time bills you every single day. Here's the actual ladder. GitHub Copilot, $10, $39, or $100 a month. The top seat bundles $200 of usage credits. Cursor, $20 up through its ultra tier at $200 flat, built for people who kept hitting the wall on everything below it. Claude Code comes bundled into Anthropic's own Pro and Max plans, $20, $100, or $200, depending how much usage you need. And Devin, Cognition's autonomous coding agent, retired its old pricing in April and replaced it with a new top tier, also $200 a month. For real scale, the median US software developer earns about $133,000 a year per the government's own labor statistics. $200 a month is nothing next to that salary on paper. Gartner's own research, 23% of tech leaders are already spending $200 to $500 per developer per month on AI tokens. 6% are past 2,000. Gartner's prediction, by 2028, AI coding costs will pass the average developer's own salary. A subscription is supposed to have a ceiling, this one doesn't. So, did any of this get better by 2026? Meter tried to find out. They set out to repeat the exact same study a year later with better tools. They couldn't finish it. As the study went on, 30 to 50% of developers were skipping tasks they'd been told to do without AI. Not couldn't, chose not to. Even inside an experiment they'd agreed to join. That refusal rate broke the experiment. The developers still willing to go AI free weren't a fair sample anymore. The ones who'd have shown AI wasn't helping had already opted out of finding out. Meter's own words for what came out the other end: an unreliable signal, likely a bad proxy for the real effect. So we don't actually have a clean 2026 answer on speed. What we do have is this: whatever AI coding tools are doing to raw task speed, people have stopped being willing to find out without them. That's not a productivity number, that's a dependency number, and it might be the more honest one. So here's what to actually check on your own team this week. Don't ask if it feels faster. You just heard why that number lies to you. Track something real instead. How long review actually takes on AI heavy pull requests versus the rest. Track how many of those get reopened or patched again within a month. That gap is the real cost, and it's usually sitting in a dashboard you already have. If review time on AI assisted work is climbing and nobody's tracking it, that's the Harness survey's actual finding. Only 38% of companies even measure review time on AI code at all. Now you're paying the $200 subscription and absorbing the hidden cost with no way to know which one is bigger. Same idea on the debt side. Check how many AI authored pull requests get touched again within a month of merging. If that number's climbing, the model isn't finishing the job. It's handing you the first draft and calling it done. If you can't tell whether it's working, that's the answer. Both things are true at once. AI coding tools are good enough that experienced developers won't willingly go back. That's real, and it's not nothing. and the actual measured controlled trial evidence that they make you faster is far weaker than the industry's told you, while the real cost, review time, security debt, technical debt, mostly land somewhere the subscription price never shows. The dishonest part isn't the $200. It's letting the price tag stand in for the whole cost. The employee costs $200 a month. The supervision doesn't show up on that invoice. You're not paying for a faster developer. You're paying for one that needs watching, and you're the one doing the watching. Next time, the economics of an AI data center. What a single AI query actually costs to answer. If this saved you from trusting your own gut on this one, subscribe. There's a new one of these every week.